Hi, welcome. My name is Mark Price. I'm the module leader for KV421, the reflective practice module which runs throughout all of the first year of each of the routes on the undergraduate work-based learning programme. I'm the module leader for this module, and ahead of each of the 6 Saturdays I'll be posting one of these podcasts before the session to help raise some issues for you, to help you think about the session beforehand and prepare before coming in for the Saturday session. I'm going to say a little bit about the structure of this module, which is a little different to the other modules you'll be taking this year, about the various elements and the people that contribute to the module, and then introduce a couple of key ideas for you to think about, which will kind of underpin the whole of the module. So KV421 is based on the idea of reflective practice. I'm going to say a little bit more about reflective practice. But in terms of how it's delivered as a module, there are 6 sessions, 6 Saturday morning sessions throughout the year. And each of those Saturday sessions has a number of key elements. You'll be spending some time with your route leader, who will go through some particular themes of the module that are relevant to your particular route. But you'll also be spending some time with your reflective practice tutor, and I'll say a bit about the reflective practice tutor later on. But because it's a work-based learning programme, we also ask you to think about how the workplace, where you work, is involved in your learning. And as part of this, we ask you to identify a workplace learning facilitator. So hopefully by now you've been able to do that and give us the contact details for that person. So at the heart of this module then is the idea of setting what we call a learning contract, which is a way of you identifying how your learning on the course is going to relate to your practice in your workplace. And that learning contract I'll go through a bit more with you on the first Saturday session. And I've posted some material on Student Central, including the course handbook, the module handbook, to give you a few more details about this. So in order to set up these, what we call learning contracts, your reflective practice tutor, one of our members of the staff here, will come out to meet with you and your workplace learning facilitator for a 3-way meeting. And at that 3-way meeting, they'll identify with you some key ideas and key targets for you to work on for the next semester, for the next half year. And then again at the beginning of the next semester, usually around February time, the reflective practice tutor will meet with you and your workplace learning facilitator again to review those targets and set new targets for the coming year. So that reflective practice tutor, one of the university's members of staff, is key to this process, as is your workplace learning facilitator. And on the Saturday morning sessions, you'll be meeting with your reflective practice tutor in small groups. So you'll be placed in small groups, usually of about 5 or 6 people. And those small groups will meet every Saturday throughout the year. And so your reflective practice tutor will also act as your main support tutor for you on the course as well. They'll be the person that gets to know you and your work setting, probably in more detail than any of the other tutors on the course does. On the Saturday sessions, as well as meeting obviously with your tutors, you will be interacting with the other students in your small group. And we hope that those small groups, those reflective practice groups, will become really key learning points for you throughout the year. And the podcasts that I post ahead of each of the Saturday sessions hopefully will raise some issues for you to reflect on before those Saturday sessions. In those Saturday sessions, you'll be sending round ahead of the session what we call a practice recording, a reflective practice recording, which will be some account of an aspect of your practice which has been interesting or relevant or thoughtful for you in the previous weeks. And we'll say a little bit more about those reflective practice recordings as well. So just to recap, the Saturday sessions, there are 6 Saturday sessions throughout the year. There are some key people that help you in this module throughout the year. Myself as the overall module coordinator, your route leader for your particular route, a reflective practice tutor who you'll meet for the first time on the first Saturday, and your workplace learning facilitator, hopefully somebody that you've identified in your workplace and you've given us the contact details. And one of the aspects of the reflective practice module that I wanted to kind of highlight particularly is that we're not on this course interested in turning out practitioners who are identical. Working with children and young people demands a level of professionalism and a level of insight and knowledge which isn't about kind of fixing stock machines and stock positions. It's about working with people in their own individual way, and it demands an awful lot of us as individuals to take to that work process, to give of ourselves. And so we think that process of understanding yourself as a practitioner, helping you become the best possible practitioner we can, is really at the heart of what the course is all about. So we're not interested in necessarily standardising you as a practitioner. We're interested in helping you become the most amazing, brilliant practitioner you can become in your own right. And one of the things we know about practitioners on the course and in terms of our own development as well is that developmental process is continuous. It just doesn't stop at the end of the course, it goes on. And it also means that over the course of our careers we continually change and develop. So if I say a little bit about my own background, I was a play worker years ago in London, and I then moved into teaching because it was a way at the time of me getting more regular employment, to be honest. I knew that I could work I was a physics teacher for a while. But when I was a physics teacher, one of the things I realised very quickly was that I was much more interested in working much more informally with young people, and often with the young people who struggled to fit in with a mainstream education for whatever reason. And so moved into youth work and youth counselling, and that's what took me into working at university. So that sense of us continually to kind of develop as practitioners is at the heart also of what we're interested in. So you will have your own individual route, and our guess is that over the course of the 4 years of this course, your development and your identity and your role within working with children and young people will change as well. But let's think about the two key themes that I want to use at the beginning of the module, that of professionalism and that of reflective practice. And I want to kind of help, in terms of us helping to think about those things, I'm going to talk about my glasses. So these are my glasses. I've worn glasses, I think, for nearly 40 years, which is a bit of a shock. And they are kind of pretty much part of me, I guess. I take them for granted, and that's an important part of what I'm going to talk about. But my glasses give me a particular perspective on the world. They help me focus in a particular way, and they give me a way of looking at things which helps me to see things clearly. And one of the things about glasses is that every now and again we need to kind of, in a sense, review our vision and review the way we see the world in order to kind of not take things for granted, and in order to see that we hopefully can see things in as clear a way as we can. So if you like, this process of reflective practice is a process of helping us think about what it is that helps us see our practice and helps us engage with practice in the way that we do. And it helps us, just as much as I'm talking about me taking my glasses for granted, it helps us to kind of review and explore things that we perhaps took for granted. Whenever we're working with children and young people, we're working with individuals whose lives are unique to themselves. We may share some things in common with the people that we work with, but we'll also have very different aspects of our lives. And one of the things perhaps to think about then is and it's come back to me a number of times throughout my working life, is our own families, or whatever form our families take. So I grew up in the Midlands near Leicester, and I grew up in a particular family. I was quite a large family, and so in terms of my relationship with my brothers and my sister and my mum and my dad, that was the family that I took for granted. And we know that kind of our early experiences of families, whatever form they may take, really have a kind of a key influence in us at growing up. But I very quickly realised that once I started working with children and young people, that my experience in my family was very different to many of the experiences of the families of the children of their families that I was working with. And so therefore we must be always careful not to take for granted the experiences that I had as a practitioner, as a young person growing up, are then similar to or comparable to the experiences that children, young people we're working with today. It's a different time, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s. That was a very different time to young people and children growing up now, and the environment I grew up in was very different to the children and young people that I've worked with over the years. So in a sense, what we're asking you to do in this reflective practice process is to explore and examine what it is we are doing in terms of working with young people, and to see beyond the immediate description of what happened, I did this and they did that, but to start to look for what were the taken for granted aspects of our work, and to help us question ourselves and each other. And that ability to engage reflectively is at the heart of professionalism. And when we talk about professionalism, we want you to think about the way that you work within a particular framework and certainly have a particular professional identity, but also the aspect of being able to reflect on your own values and your own experience, your own position, and to consciously work with that with young people, to consciously engage with young people, being aware of yourself and of how you're working, what assumptions you're making, what taken for grantedness you're doing, and to think about, therefore, how you engage with young children, young people, in a way which meets their needs. And that process, that relationship between reflective practice and professionalism, is what is at the heart of this module. So I hope this has been a kind of an introduction for you and help you start to think about some few things about the module, the idea that there are different people involved in the module and starting to become familiar with those. The idea that the Saturday morning sessions provide a kind of key focus for structurally for the module, but the relationship with the reflective practice tutor and the workplace learning facilitator is really key to the module as a whole. That ahead of each of the Saturday sessions, I'll be posting one of these podcasts on Student Central, and I'll also provide some other material for you, usually in the form of perhaps a PowerPoint presentation or other material. And I look forward to seeing you around on the Saturday mornings. And good luck with this module over the course of the year.